The space-time of an actual instant, she affirmed, offers the only opportunity to effect changes. It is an intense point. It is the only terrestrial place of love, desire, joy, pain, and death. But the phenomenon, once completed, remains immutable with its mass, energy, and space-time in the great storehouse of the fifth dimension, since it already passed the dangerous stage of the present moment. The actual instant is the factory of existential acts, both good and bad, which will bring greater glory or shame in the future life. From heaven, she continued, you will contemplate the moments of antiquity, from their beginning to their destruction, because existence remains intact in a past space-time and stored in the fifth dimension. It is a great error to suppose the past is annihilated. I will help you with another parable, she resignedly added. As the sewing machine embroiders, the stitches are meticulously organized on the cloth. In the same way, man, passing through the needle of the present moment, embroiders on the cloth of his will, with the thread of the Lord's law, and his design over the traveler. The raising and lowering of the needle represents the actual instant. The stitch signifies the moment in which the act of existence occurs. Once completed, the executed act is guarded in space-time. This act, in turn, is precisely added to all the others to form the design. This design comes as a complete man with his history. The beauty of the embroidery results from the free, virtuous collaboration of the cloth of the human will with the thread of the divine will in the love of charity. The design is kept forever in the inviolate case of the fifth dimension. I asked, however tenderly loved, when something is transformed, it stops being what it was. It is converted to something else. There is the error, she responded. Your senses deceive you. They present the transformations, destructions, and death of beings as definite and irreversible facts. This is because your senses present the facts from the perspective of the actual instant. They don't allow you to see that material space passes along with time. You fall in a trap created by the bondage of your consciousness with the present moment. Also, the mental schemes you have are erroneous and deeply rooted to your atavistic ignorance. You confuse the past that you can no longer see with the present you are observing. It is that you, being a traveler, cannot stop in the space-time race. You always continue galloping, tied securely to the swift horse of normal terrestrial time, without the possibility of turning your face and fully contemplating the majestic horizon of all the space-times of the things you just left behind. It is clear then, she affirmed, that you conclude that the remote past is finished because you don't see it. You also conclude that the immediate past fuses with the actual instant. Therefore, you resist accepting the perennial existence of your childhood body. You confuse the body you now possess with the uninterrupted phases of biological development, starting with your conception. The phases enclose in a meticulous chronological order the innumerable existential acts which correspond to the space-times you have lived. And all this perdures without end in the objective, majestic reality of the fifth dimension. It is inconceivable that my senses can be mistaken to such a degree. That is what happens because of sin. You will be able to glimpse at the transcendence of moral evil. Sensory deception is easy among the travelers, For example, sometimes a train starts so smoothly that it is not felt. If you look through the window at another train, you are not able to tell which train is stopped and which is moving. You need, for example, a point of reference such as a post. Unfortunately, there is no reference point to convince you that what happens is not annihilated but maintained, even though it seems to you that the opposite is true. But you will see in heaven, she told me with radiant joy. You will observe the history of the universe as if you had an enormous album of photographs. You will be able to contemplate them in any order, not only chronologically as they happened, but the last ones first and then the first ones last, or compare them indiscriminately at your own pleasure. Only in the fifth dimension one does not look at pictures but perpetually contemplates the exact reality. In heaven, consciousness is not limited to the actual moment nor to classic notions, which are purely subjective, of past, present, and future. These are interwoven according to our will and serve as means to increase our joy. Take the example of binocular vision. Each eye forms an image on the retina. You should see two images corresponding you should see two objects corresponding to two images, but you see only one. If you place a slight pressure on your eye, you will immediately see two images of the same object. Analogously, she continued, you hardly see what happens in the present moment. This is because your consciousness, as I said before, is so tied to the here and now. You wrongly judge that this constitutes everything. That is true when it only shows you the small truth of the present moment. Don't confuse the brief evidence, small and incomplete, that the senses give you at a given moment of time with the great reality, everlasting and objective, of created eternity, or the fifth dimension. It is deplorable you are unable to verify the existence of the eternal warehouse of all beings. In your state as a traveler, the best possible demonstration of the existence of the fifth dimension is what you are now seeing in this modified time. Well, then, she ended, to acquire moral certitude, not absolute evidence, which is impossible for the traveler. The light pressure over your eye does not suffice, but it could serve as prudent pressure on your good will, to meditate without prejudice on the existence and transcendence of the fifth dimension. So here's an example. If a glass is broken, it is finished as a glass. No, because it was broken in a precise moment. It was not broken one moment before, nor in all the time the glass was a glass. The glass was broken in the space-time of the last act of its existence. Moreover, all the space-times which correspond to its acts of existence, changes of place, color, content, wear, usage from its fabrication until the instant it broke, remain intact in the fifth dimension. Tenderly loved, how can we avoid the unfortunate deception of the senses? It is very simple. Remain very close to the Most High. In His grace, in spirit and truth. If sensorial deception impedes your eternal salvation, be assured that He will remedy it. But even if you continue to be deceived, you can be assured that such a truth is unnecessary to reach heavenly bliss. You will understand in heaven